Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Benchwarmer Sports podcast. I'm Raffi, as always, joined by Davian and Theodore. Boys, the World Cup, the knockout stage is upcoming. It begins tomorrow as we're recording this Friday evening after all the games have wrapped up in the group stage. I saw something, I think it was yesterday, that we're now, as of today, over halfway through the World Cup. And that just it hurts my heart because it feels like we just started, and I'm so into it, and it's been a great time. I really do love watching all these games during my classes. Boys, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. World Cup's been absolutely incredible. I've never seen my school talk more about sports than this World Cup. Like, it's crazy to think about. We're watching the games every day at lunch, during classes. Everyone's talking about it. I feel like there's really a much bigger atmosphere around this event than I thought there would be, and especially with Team USA moving on, it really, really feels like people are into this thing.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think you have people really kind of you're asking about what's an offside, what's a yellow card. I think we all know the inspirational story about Matt Turner, how he watched the 2010 World Cup, saw how US tied the English team, ended up starting playing soccer, whatnot.
And
I think you're really gonna
that's
see
insanely impressive too for him. I think it was in high school he saw that and was like, I want to be a soccer player. That's impressive,
right? Yeah, and I think that what we're going to see is a new generation of inspired players. I wish that we got into the World Cup, just 4 years ago, because that would inspire our generation or where high schoolers coming in. But I'm sure that those people, especially the college kids, are inspired by by America's performance, and also the performance of a lot of underdog teams as well.
Yeah.
I think, the performance of Japan, the performance of teams like Senegal and South Korea. I think a lot of people are inspired by that, and I think it's really going to expand soccer.
Absolutely.
And it's officially soccer, not football.
100%. 100%. And I agree with you. If this is the first World Cup where I've really taken a lot of time to watch everything. Normally in the past, I've been working over the summer, I've been doing this or I'm doing that, and obviously I have classes, but this is the first time where I've actually had the opportunity to watch almost every single game and just get recaps. Check it out on TikTok. I post a ton of recaps, and our one's coming out a couple days ago, and I'll keep posting them. Regardless, it's been very chaotic. I do not recall it being this chaotic. I had a lot of teams in my prediction
I don't recall
winning
it either.
all three of their games. And I don't believe a single team won all three of their matches. Obviously, we'll get into France and Brazil losing and those implications. Obviously, it's nothing too crazy because they both, I think, had 9 people they swapped out from their starting 11 the past 2 games to today's game, and France, their respective game a couple days ago. But let's just get right into it. We'll start off with Group A. So obviously, we can just get into the matchup of the head of Group A, the Netherlands, taking on the Americans. Obviously, USA. We keep on going. We make it out of the group stage. If you guys want to touch on that, we can do that real quick. I know it's talking about Group A, but I also want to talk about this match, USA versus the Netherlands. I'm very excited about this match. There is some news that the Netherlands, there's a couple countries, apparently, that have been dealing with a flu bug. The U.S. is not dealing with that, but the Netherlands is one of those teams, and Frankie de Jong, Netherlands, I love all their names. You have Dumfries, oh my gosh, I love all their names. Awesome names. Regardless, the Netherlands is a team to look out for because they are under the weather right now. So I think, honestly, there is a chance for the U.S. to potentially win and go on to the round of 8.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I really want to see it happen. Netherlands, look, they absolutely have a better roster. I don't care what you say about any of this flu stuff. They're the better team.
Right.
But if you look at this World Cup, the better team has not always won, and unfortunately that's not only due to the climate, that's due to the fact that there are a lot of upsets in the World Cup, and a team like Australia moving on is just absurd. So look, there's no reason we can't pull this. Pulisic going to play out of his mind. We got a ton of great players, and I'm just excited for it.
I just want to mention too, that Iran game, the US went really, really good first half, like they did versus Wales. Obviously, Pulisic with the goal. He sacrificed his abs, or I think it was a pelvic contusion. regardless, he is good to go for Saturday's game, which you guys are going to likely be watching this after the game. But regardless, he's ready to go for tomorrow, which impacts our predictions. So that's awesome. Obviously, Tim Weah scoring the second goal, which gets called for offside. Yes, but I didn't like it, but whatever. It's the technology. Technology is the overarching rule. And again, just like Wales, though, they let Iran just get more chances, and that's something where I'm personally concerned with, because the Netherlands have looked pretty good overall. I don't have too many things aside from them being sick that I can point to and say there's a big flaw with the Netherlands. Maybe the midfield. I think the midfield is going to be where the Americans win, because their midfield is arguably one of the top midfields. Yeah. And let's also mention once more before I throw it to you, Davian, to discuss the USA, that this team is really young, and I think the fact that they made it out of the group stage is exact. Now they're playing with house money. They can go on. Right. They can go on a crazy run. If they lose to the Netherlands, I'm completely fine with that, and I think we all are.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I would just like to. I mean, look, this Netherlands team is stacked. Anybody saying that America is gonna beat Netherlands simply because we have a better squad is just point out wrong. The Netherlands squad is a better squad on all fronts. Maybe goalie is the one exception. Matt Turner is a beast. He truly has that dog in him. But I I would say this, that with Pulisic is injured. Let's be yes, he is playing tomorrow, but he's playing through injury. So really, for America, they need to play like Japan. And we'll talk about Japan later on. But the one thing I noticed about Japan is they play tactical, and that's what America's not doing. We're scoring a goal and we're getting gassed in the second half, and it's already been 3 games so far. And each game we're getting gassed in the second half, and that has to change. We need to start really playing for the second half, not the other way around. How is that done? I'm not sure. I'm sure that that's really going to be a big discussion between the American team, really. But you got to play in the second half. You can't just the way that we played in the last 10 minutes in the Iran game. You can't be letting up those chances, because Netherlands will convert on those chances. We know that Iran didn't. We know that England didn't. But Netherlands is a beast, and they will convert on those chances. And also, let's mention that Netherlands' defense is nuts. Van Dijk, he's one of my favorite players, if not my favorite player. He's a beast. And to get a goal against Netherlands will be very hard. And once we do, we really need to play defensive. We can't be letting up chances like we have before.
Cody Gakpo has 3 goals for the Netherlands. He's been one of the shining stars so far, and was the shining star of the group stage, especially in Group A. I agree with you guys. I think the Wales second half was the worst one. The Iran one wasn't. They bended. They didn't break. So you can take that as a good thing.
I agree. Yeah.
And as a bad thing.
Yeah.
And then England, I think they played a pretty good 90 minutes. You just didn't score. I think aside from that, though, I really like how they play. And I think what we're seeing is that they play to the level of their competition, I guess. But that could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. In this scenario, when you're playing a team like the Netherlands, I think it could be a good thing. Moving on to some of the other teams in Group A, Senegal with a 70th minute score right after Ecuador had tied it up in the 67th minute. They wound up winning, and they were a team that a lot of people had as a dark horse. Senegal continues on, and Theodore, I know, again, I keep mentioning this because you're like the Mane guy. Mane's out, yes. But Senegal's scoring now, so that's something really positive to look out for in their upcoming match with England.
They're doing this for him. And somehow Qatar did not make it out of that group. I don't know how that happened.
Must have been the climate.
Maybe it's just that the climate doesn't really benefit any teams, because we saw no teams from the Middle East actually break through.
That could be true. But Saudi Arabia did have that goal, and there was definitely, I don't know if you guys had watched some of Saudi Arabia's games afterwards, but there was definitely it was like a home type of field advantage for them. And we'll get into Morocco as well, but it was very similar for Morocco as well. Moving on, Ecuador, again, really young team. I think that they're going to be good in 2026. But for now, a bit disappointing. Regardless, it's all good.
Very disappointing, if you ask me. Especially I watched the end of that game against Senegal. Completely on them. They absolutely should have come away with that draw.
I think Valencia getting hurt, though, was something that played a role in that, though. Because he got hurt in the second half, and he was responsible for 2 or 3 of the...
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
But it is what it is. But
Yeah, for
once again,
sure.
this is a young team, just like the U.S., and we'll get into it with Canada as well. Gaining the experience is also very important as well. It's very valuable. England, we all know it's not coming home. We all know it's called soccer. They easily handled Wales. Wales just did not look good for Iran versus England, which I guess is, I guess they just had a bunch of, they were really ready. First time in 62 years they're in the World Cup, so they played really well versus the U.S. and drew. But afterwards, Wales just kind of just crashed out after that. They kind of had their moment of drawing versus us, and then after that, they kind of just went quiet. Harry Kane, I believe he had 6 goals, was the Golden Boot winner of 2018. He has no goals right now. I want to mention Jack Grealish, midfielder. He keeps coming on for England, and he's been playing really, really well for them. Obviously, he has the flow
Yeah,
as well. So whenever he gets subbed in, that's definitely something to take note of. So England, it's not coming
for
home,
sure.
but they look good, which is expected.
Yeah. I guess to comment on Group B, I would also like to comment on Iran team. I think that they really played their hearts out, and we don't. We're not going to get into the whole political, what's going on politically in Iran, and whatnot. But I will say that the amount of noise that's been going around in Iran, the way this, I give a lot of credit to this Iranian team. I think that really the support that you get from home and the climate. I will say one thing about climate: the climate of your home country, when it comes to political turmoil, I think is a. I know we had discussion last week whether it's important or not, and I think for Iran it is, and I think that it's one of the reasons they may have not tried to perform as well as they did, but I also think it might have hindered them. You know, there's a lot of precedent, I guess, when it comes to Wales. Kind of a quick comment. 62 first time you're playing in 62 years. Of course, they played well in that first game, and then it just kind of floundered out. I would kind of want to comment that Canada was kind of the same way, played really well, and then just floundered out. But those are my comments on Group B and also
Canada
Canada.
got that goal, though. I think that was very big for them to get that goal in their second match. I thought that was very, very just good for their team. They finally got that World Cup goal. They hadn't scored when they were in the World Cup in '86. I don't know if they were in the World Cup prior times to that, but regardless, getting that one goal, I think regardless is still a win for Canada, because I think we, as Americans, expected the U.S. to make it out of the knockout, or make it out of the group stage, pardon me. But Canada, I think the expectations were a bit more tempered with a team like Belgium. Before we get into that, because I have plenty to say about Belgium, let's go over to Group D real quick and talk about France. France losing to Tunisia, they end the World Cup curse, which is great. I think we all had France going to the knockouts. I had them crashing out early, but now the way the bracket looks, I think France might go a bit deeper than that. Denmark, I'm so disappointed.
That's absurd.
I'm disappointed. It makes sense because the teams that are
Disappointment.
always the favorite underdog tend to not be the true underdog.
Yeah.
But there was plenty to say about Denmark and plenty of good reason to have them as an underdog. And the problem
But they played bad. They just played bad.
They were atrocious.
The big question that hindered them and that overshadowed them entering the World Cup was who is going to score the goals for them. And it was evident that no one could score the goals for them. I think they only had one goal.
They scored one goal in 3 games.
They played terrible, okay? Australia, yes, they snuck through, but really I would have wanted to see Tunisia break through more than Australia. I feel like Australia kind of, yes, they beat Tunisia, they beat Denmark,
Australia
but it wasn't, they didn't.
Screw you type attitude, though, which I really like. They're just like,
Yeah. I really am rooting for these.
I counted them out so hard because I wanted Peru
to
come out of that matchup to determine who was going to get into the group. The Aussies are just like, you know what? You all thought that we were going to just be the worst team in this whole thing. Screw you guys. We're going to play really well,
but they aren't playing well, is what I want to say.
Well, come on, don't ruin this for them, Davian.
Okay. Respect to my Aussie friends, but congrats on getting to the round of 16. We're not going any further.
No, seriously though, I think Australia. Look, yes, they are playing Argentina. Yes, there's a 99% chance they do lose. But this is a cool story because we talk about, growing soccer in America and stuff. From what I hear about soccer in Australia, you got cricket, you got rugby, you got
it's
stuff
like
like
the
Australian
fifth or sixth
football,
sport.
basketball. Like so much stuff is ahead of it. And unlike us, where we still put money and effort and some kind of effort into soccer, there's really just no atmosphere around soccer there. So it's cool for them that maybe soccer will grow there.
I think their women's team's pretty good, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
But I don't know. I follow Women's World Cup a bit more than Men's World Cup at times. So yeah.
I also just want to mention too, France. So in their final match, as I mentioned earlier, they had 9 different players, I believe, in comparison to the first 2 to their final match. Obviously, they had Mbappe, Griezmann, some of those guys come in later on as subs. But I'm just concerned because they just did not look good. A lot of their backups just didn't look good, and that was a concern for me because injuries will happen, and hopefully the guys play better, and it's just getting some rust off. But that's just a concern that if France does wind up dealing with injuries, which obviously we don't want anyone to happen because there's so much emotion for representing your country, and getting injured at the World Cup is just awful to see and awful to happen. But that's just a little bit of a concern for me. But once again, though, France ends the World Cup drought, that whole conundrum, so that's good at least. Moving on, Poland survives. They make it through.
Okay, guys.
Before Theodore takes it away from me,
Yeah.
Lewandowski finally gets his first goal in the World Cup. That was an amazing moment. Theodore, take it away.
Okay. I need to come clean here. When we picked this group, as you probably recall, I did a coin flip to decide, Poland or Mexico. Now, full disclosure, I had already pre-decided I was going to say Mexico. So I did the coin flip. Heads or tails. If it's heads, it's Poland, tails, Mexico. It landed on heads. So the coin flip was correct. So do not blame the coin. The coin was correct, and, it's completely on me for not listening to the coin flip. I fully apologize to all my Polish friends.
Theodore, come on, man. You look at the Jets, man. Like, the coin flip's been working for them.
Last year,
the coin flip prediction.
We gotta start trusting the coins now from here on out.
We
I just wanted to mention, too, Mexico had a great game for Saudi Arabia. Also, props to Saudi Arabia for obviously just throwing in some more chaos and with that big upset versus Argentina.
Yeah, and the players now are at Rolls Royces, supposedly.
Right, exactly. Mexico, though,
Yeah.
They had a good final game. They had a good final effort, but it was just you didn't do anything the first 2 games, which had led to this. Also want to mention, too, that we were 1 goal difference away, or 1 goal being scored or not being scored, from having us go to the fair play part of the tiebreaker, which is where Senegal got knocked out in 2018, because I think Senegal had 1 more yellow card. So Poland would have still gone through if the goal differentials had tied. Luckily, it didn't come down to that because I don't really like that. And then afterwards, I think we get into like a coin flip, and the coin really does decide team's fate after that. Any thoughts before we continue on? I do want to mention Argentina, Alvarez scoring for them. That just shows some more depth and how their front attack can still score goals even without Messi. Obviously, Messi's still been playing great, and Argentina just keeps getting better as the games have gone on. So that's great for everyone. That's great for me who picked Argentina. So I'm overall pretty happy with how Argentina's gotten things together because, as we're going to talk about shortly, once things start to unravel, it can just be terrible.
Yeah.
Speaking of unraveling, and I'm gonna do this transition for you, Raffi, because I need to, flex my correct picks 24/7. Germany, come on, how do you lose that? Look, I picked Japan to move on in the group.
Such a good
I
pick.
picked Japan and Spain.
I real quickly need to apologize because I should have known better after seeing the 2018 stuff that Japan is just one of those teams that just you can't take lightly. I was completely wrong, and they're so much fun to watch. But
they're one of my favorite teams to watch, and I think they have a really good shot in their match against Croatia.
Yeah. No, I picked Japan and Spain. It was more of just, you got to say some stuff sometimes, but I believe there was a chance, and that chance paid off, and this is, I cannot imagine the riots in the street in Germany.
It's so disappointing, too, because this was supposed to be 2018 happened, but let's move on from it. And they wind up crashing out again, which was really disappointing. They beat Costa Rica 4-2, but it was there was a point throughout that whole 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. time slot where those 2 games were going on, where every team was in the playoff at some point, was in the top 2 and out of the top 2. Spain was out of the top 2 for a little bit before settling into that number 2 spot. But it was just chaotic, and that was it was really fun to watch the final game for those. But yeah, Germany, very disappointing. Spain, I'm just concerned, but I'm a little concerned, but I'm not I'm not going to change my pick on Spain going all the way to lose to Argentina in the final. And again, Japan, as you mentioned, Davian, they come in waves. The first half, I think they just try to get it like 0-0. They're up 1-0. Try to not do too much in the first half, and then the second half, they attack in waves. It's another wave, another wave, another wave, and it just tires out the teams. And it's been prevalent where they can also score really quickly. And then one thing I noticed too is they had those 2 quick goals for Spain, and afterwards they just kind of brought back their defense, their defenders, and they just collapsed every single time Spain got into the attacking zone, which was just killed any chance Spain had at scoring the equalizer.
America needs to be able to do that against the Netherlands, but the problem is our defense is just not strong enough. Our
terrible.
I'm sorry, the guy is legit a robot out there. Like, he doesn't move. He does not move. It's as if, okay, imagine you're playing FIFA, right, and your remote control dies. That's Zimmerman.
He's
right
good
there.
at heading.
Like,
the ball,
he doesn't move.
That's all he's good. He's good at clearing the ball out with that.
I don't know. Well, he's better be covering Van Dijk then,
The only
because that
problem
man's
with what you're saying, Dave,
massive.
because I do agree with you, is it's very hard to you can change minor things in your strategy going into another game, but like Greg Berhalter can't just go into
Right.
the locker room and be like, guys, we're changing up our entire strategy to play the Netherlands. Like, you can't really, unfortunately.
No, you can't. You can't. No, you can't do that. I agree with that. You can't really. Unfortunately, you can't just say like, "All right, you know what? Like we were playing like a one sort of formation, and now we're gonna completely throw that out the window." I understand that. I just think that there needs to be like a change, especially like at least the last 10 minutes of a game. You cannot collapse like they have been. You need to really figure out what to do.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I know it's not March, but there has certainly been some madness in some of the groups. And one of those has been Morocco, who I think no. What am I trying to say? None of us really, I don't think any of us foresee Morocco winning the group. I think some of us expected Morocco to make a little bit of like chaos, a little bit of behind the scenes affecting who finishes where. But for Morocco to win the group outright was just amazing. Croatia finishing second. I had Croatia winning the group, but I am open to throwing anything in my bracket out the window for the sake of chaos, and that's what we got. So I'm all for it. Morocco, one of those countries, as I mentioned earlier, with Saudi Arabia, where they had basically the entire stadium was just full of Moroccan people, which was just awesome to see because Morocco's not a country you think about too much. So seeing how many people supported them and how many people made the trip to Qatar was really inspiring, really great to see. I also just want to talk about this. I called Belgium crashing out. I did not.
That was so bad.
Making out of the group. I had them at least going out of the group, and it was very clear from Kevin De Bruyne's comment and some of the other guys just saying like, "Oh, like we're this, we're too old. Oh, we're this, we're not good enough, we're bad." You could just tell that something was going on in the locker room, and that was just a case where there was a really negative effect, and I think that just really killed Belgium's hopes and technically killed their golden generation. Also, Romelu Lukaku. Oh my goodness, I could have scored some of those goals. If I was in that position, if I got transported to that moment, because we all know that I wasn't going to last like even 5 minutes out on that pitch. But if I got transported right there and the ball was coming at me, I would have scored on at least one of those 4 chances that he had in that final game.
I think the climate might have made him miss. I think we need to be open to that possibility.
Oh, yes.
On a more serious note, Belgium is my biggest disappointment here. I think I picked them to go far. I thought they were a serious contender. I did have Morocco moving on, but I had Belgium outright winning the group. And then, I watched that game versus Morocco. I heard the comments, and it's like you realize like this team's given up. This whole generation is done. And
2018 was their chance, and they got third, but there's no like you can't just pat yourself on the back with how the golden generation was supposed to go for them.
Right. No, it's horrible. This is how it ends, and best of luck.
But see, that's the thing too. Is a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's the last." Everyone thinks of the last dance when they think of a team on their final thing. That's never how things end. We're seeing it right now in football with the Green Bay Packers. which I know Theodore is very excited to hear about. But for the most part, there's not going to be that storybook Peyton Manning last dance of, oh, we're winning the championship, we go out on top. That really doesn't happen often. So I mean, it's a shame
Yeah, I
Belgium
mean,
fell into
Germany is
that.
the perfect example.
Yeah,
Germany,
I agree with that. Germany, yeah.
yeah, won in 2014. All these players, in their prime, and then the next 8 years you do nothing as a nation. Like almost never ends that way.
Right, and they haven't been too good in the Euros to Germany, but that's a whole other thing that we can get into in 2 years.
Yeah.
Euro kicks off, which I'm so excited about because I love the nationality and all that coming out with people watching the World Cup. Davian, you have a point before we continue on?
Yeah, one comment to make before I guess we move on to like our group stage predictions or what? Not group stage, bracket predictions. But Mexico needs to fire their manager. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I think just I've watched videos and whatnot from experts and kind of like I've done my own due diligence. I think that they could have made it far. They could have made it out of the group stage. I think it's just what the for Mexico to like, get to not even break through to the group stage. I think is a very poor to see, and especially as you go into really 2026, where you're going to be hosting the World Cup, you need to have a change. You need to really show that you can compete, and I think Mexico and I guess in some ways for Canada as well, you need to really get prepared for 2026. How are you going to show that you are a legitimate team and not somebody that you could just write off like Qatar in a way?
Yeah, Canada, I anticipate them growing more as a team, which is
I agree with that
Mexico,
as well. Yeah,
I'm definitely
they will grow.
more concerned with. Roberto Martinez, also head coach, manager, whatever you want to call it for Belgium, also stepped down like half an hour after the game too for Belgium. Some quick things before we get into our knockout picks. Cameroon, the guy got a red card, but he took off his shirt and celebrated. It was an amazing moment for African soccer, especially for Cameroon. Brazil's 17-game group win streak is over. I don't think they lost a game since like 1996 in the group stage, which is just Brazil soccer in a nutshell and a stat. Swiss.
Yeah, but what happens in the knockout stage again? Can you like give me a refresher on that with Brazil?
Brazil has been last time 2002, but then again it's
exactly.
Hard to win
Look,
the World Cup.
20 years of not winning anything, and that will continue.
It's hard to win the World Cup. Moving on real quick, Switzerland, they beat Serbia. That was a great game. Serbia was a fun team to watch in the tournament, but if I was Serbian or watching Serbia as a fan, I'd be having a heart attack constantly, or I'd be just getting really annoyed about their defense because they allowed 3 versus Cameroon, 3 versus Swiss. They can score, but they got to defend. I don't think they realized that. Finally, Ronaldo couldn't really finish for South Korea. It was a bit disappointing, but I think he'll figure it out. I think he played well in the first 2 games. Obviously, Ghana, we all know that the history with them in Uruguay, and they got the last laugh because they did lose to them, but Uruguay did not prevail and make it to the knockouts. Also want to mention, too, I don't understand. I don't know if you guys saw this, but after that game had concluded, all the players on Uruguay were going after the ref and trying to follow him into the tunnel. I think that was really stupid. You won the game. There was nothing the ref could have done to help you get into the thing. So, or I think they needed one goal potentially, but I just think it was
right. I'm disappointed by Uruguay. No, I mean overall their performance is fine. I think just they're kind of like the team itself. It's kind of dirty. I mean, just look at the captain Suarez himself. I call him Ratman. Just like when he was subbed in. Yeah, when he was subbed in during their second game, I forgot who they played. He made a foul within 5 minutes of playing. That's just the type of team Uruguay is. They play kind of dirty. If it's a good thing, a bad thing, you take it as is. But it was just disappointing to see them, act like that. But yeah, I mean, Ghana gets their revenge in a way.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me just say, guys, because as much as you guys, don't respect me as a true soccer fan, I am a very, very big Wolverhampton Wanderers fan. I picked them because, Wolverhampton Wolves,
yes, of course. Cool. I definitely know that.
Yeah. So, look, seeing Hwang go out and score that game-winning goal in stoppage time, that was incredible. And he was playing against Portugal, who, as Premier League fans know, is filled with other Wolves players. So that was me. That was a very, very, very fun game for me to watch and see all of my team's favorite players.
See.
Involved.
All right, real quick, we're going to go through our knockout picks before we continue on. I also want to mention, too, a trend that I've seen in the past is, for the most part, I'd say like 5 to 7, I don't think 8, but normally 5 to 7 is the range of group winners that go on to win their first game in the knockout stage. So that's something to just keep in mind. I don't know if you guys have your brackets out, but we'll start off with USA and Netherlands. We'll go through this really quick just to close the show. We won't do too much analysis, but we'll get TikToks up so you guys can watch some shorter breakdowns rather than watching this whole thing. USA versus the Netherlands. Real quick, USA. Let's do it.
Yeah, look, I doubted us before. I'm not going to do it again. This team is driven. They are motivated. They will come out with the win. USA on top.
I believe too. I have Netherlands written down on my piece of paper, though. That's all I'm going to say.
Rip up your piece of paper, Davian.
Argentina versus the Aussies. I have Argentina.
Argentina, nothing to even talk about.
Yeah.
Come on.
If Australia decides to go on a run for just the sake of
No. Let's not talk about if. There's no if.
Australians. I think that is the takeaway.
I don't have anything against Australians. I love my fellow Aussie men, but I'm sorry. This Australia team is not good. Argentina has been playing well. Raffi mentioned it as well, how they've gotten more depth beyond Messi, which I feel like they haven't really had in past years. Argentina wins. There's no debate about this.
All right.
Okay, Argentina wins, but shout out Australia, and I support you guys.
All right. Next up, real quick,
Yeah.
do we all agree on France over Poland?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. England, Senegal. I have England, although I think it would be hilarious if Senegal beats them. I wouldn't be shocked, but I think England's just going to win.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Give me Senegal. I'm all for the madness, and I really, really think this team has played well. Look, England's looked really, really good, but as we said, we know they're not winning the World Cup. They have to go down at some point, and I think this will be the very early exit.
I think it'll be later on, personally. I just think England is too good to not lose early, but they'll lose in the semifinal probably and come up just short, and we'll all have our fun week of making fun of England and England soccer. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that. Japan versus Croatia, one of the more intriguing matchups. This is pretty.
Japan.
I got Japan, but I'm open to either team. I just think Japan's look better. Theodore, real quick.
Hardest game I've had, to pick in this bracket. Give me Japan, though.
Yes. Brazil, South Korea. I'm going Brazil, but without Neymar, there's a concern. Brazil's always going to be really deep, but that is a concern. How far can they go without Neymar? I think they get past South Korea, but I don't think that Brazil is the favorites anymore. They're still one of the favorites, but I don't think that they are the favorite now.
Is Neymar out for the entire World Cup?
I believe so.
Do we know? Wait, really? I mean, okay. Well, we'll talk about it on TikTok. But yeah, I have Brazil going through, but I'm not sure if Brazil wins at all.
I think South Korea stays competitive. We may even see extra time or even penalties maybe, but they will pull through. So Brazil will.
It's looking likely that he might miss significant time within the realm of the World Cup. Not like multiple months, but I think it's something to keep an eye on. I don't know. He won't be good for South Korea, and that's a big game regardless. Moving on to the final two, Morocco versus Spain. I have Spain because I have Spain in my final. Although, once again, I am willing to throw that away for Morocco. But I am going Spain. Yeah.
Yeah, I got Spain as well.
Yeah, look, I really love this Morocco story, and I think if they had a different match, they could pull through.
I agree.
I'm really high on Spain.
I agree. If Morocco was playing a different team, that I would definitely be more inclined. I think they would be more favorable. Like versus the Dutch, for example. I'd probably pick Morocco over them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Finally, Portugal versus Switzerland. This game, it might be the fact they may have played each other, or Switzerland is just really good at just getting to extra time and going to penalty shootouts in major tournaments. This just screams like 3-3 going to a shootout and then just being absolutely chaotic. I have Portugal, but I am very, very open to the idea that Switzerland might win that game.
I don't see that.
Ooh.
I don't see that happening. I mean, Portugal wins. I don't see Switzerland really being competitive.
No, I think Switzerland absolutely is competitive. Portugal, they didn't jump out at me in any way. I think they are a very good team, but nothing's truly special. I really, really, really liked the way Switzerland played together. They nearly held Brazil to a draw. I think they scored like an 83rd minute goal. I like
It was
Switzerland to
the
come
eighth
away with
minute.
it. 83rd minute. You see, I'm on top of my facts. I've really been impressed by the Swiss team, and I think they'll find a way to get there.
Right, and I think the big thing too is I was a bit concerned with them after they only beat Cameroon 1-0, but after putting in 3 versus Serbia, I think that they're finally getting it going offensively. But yeah, that's all of our picks. We ran through those pretty nicely and pretty efficiently, so that was good. We hope you enjoyed. Obviously, if you have any takes on our picks, be sure to put them in the comments, as we always recommend. Anywho, if you want to see some smaller videos, I know I'm going to be getting up my bracket, my updated bracket. I know Theodore, Davian, you guys are probably going to get out some more content. Not only soccer, but we have plenty of football, hockey, basketball, other sports as well.
Yeah, there's been some good basketball stuff happening.
Exactly.
College too. College basketball's
College
been
basketball's
wild.
been crazy so far.
Yeah.
Honestly, Houston's been really good, and then teams like Villanova, North Carolina, not looking good. So definitely keep an eye out for all that. Be sure to follow us on TikTok, Benchwarmer_sports. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would love to have you as a subscriber. We hope you have a great rest of your day. We hope you enjoy the rest of the World Cup. We'll be back next week to talk a little bit more World Cup. We'll talk a little bit more about the college football playoff. For Theodore, for Davian, I'm Raffi. We hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a great rest of your day. Go USA.
Peace.